Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I thought that well, here's the thing. For this video, we're going to talk about things that I just think are really good versus things that are still really good, but maybe they have been quite overly hyped by social media. And I would love to get your opinions on this. When you're watching, do you think there's anything that I've missed? Do you think there's anything I've got wrong? I would just love to get your opinions on this. And it's actually inspired by, wish I got the name of her, but I saw this really good creator on Instagram, and she made a reel of bags that she felt were hyped and that you shouldn't buy. And I've got to say, she was showing these bags and I was like, yeah, I agree. And it just got me thinking that I'd do this video. So as I say, we are going to go through real life examples for me of things that I think are great and things that are, it's not that they're bad, it's just that I think that social media has taken them and made them not so exciting anymore. And some of the things I'm going to talk about, I've spoken about before, so it won't be any surprise to you. Okay, the first that I think's really worth it, and I would say if you're in the market for a new bag, maybe it's your first one or your millionth one, I would say check out Bulgari. I really like Bulgari's jewellery, but also they have got really good leather goods. This is the Serpent Forever bag, although I've got to say I would add to my collection of Bulgari in a second. I got this in a matching wallet back in 2020. Yeah, 2020. I remember it was just before lockdown happened, like that scary time. But such a good bag, really well priced, excellent quality. The quality is impeccable on this bag, and on the inside you get little extras that you wouldn't have thought. So you get a custom rain jacket for your bag, you get a crossbody strap on this particular one, and what I love is obviously the snake, the serpent, is part of Bulgari's identity. And so things like on the chain handle, it's made like the scales of a snake. So as you can see, the way it bends and sort of slithers along there, looks like a snake. But also you get with it a little custom mirror that matches the colour of the bag. And the little handle, the tag on the top there, if you can see, is the shape of a serpent's head, a snake's head. So all of those aspects of the brand are really nicely pulled together, and I feel like they come together in the most beautiful way on this bag. And what I also really like about it is I don't know why, but I don't feel as though this is a bag or a bag brand that social media has grabbed onto and run with. And I think when I talk about hyped items, it's not that I have a problem with social media grabbing something and running with it. If anything, I actually quite like it because it brings to my attention products I didn't know that existed. And I remember when I bought this, it was all over the place because Bulgari were pushing it with influencers. That's how I came to hear it or see it. And ended up buying it off the back of that ad campaign. So obviously it worked well, but it's not a bag brand that I feel social media has run with, and as such it still feels quite unique, quite special, quite quiet, on the quiet side. Okay, the next brand that I want to talk about, because I do feel like this is very, well, depending on what you watch on YouTube and Instagram and such, I do feel like this is very well known, but I want to talk about it because they are so worth it, and I've spoken about them not so long ago actually. I talk about them a lot. It's a brand called Idyl, and Idyl they're a family run business based in Antwerp in Belgium, and they are manufacturers and creators of 14 karat gold solid. You can either get yellow gold, rose gold or white gold jewellery pieces, but they're all about lab-grown diamonds. So you can basically buy, I'm showing you some of my favourite pieces here. I've got a really nice collection now. I've got bracelets, I've got my necklaces, I've got earrings, but you can accessibly buy diamonds because they are lab-grown. You still get the sparkle of a diamond. If anything, the clarity is normally top-notch, always top-notch because it is lab-grown. But price-wise, you can buy a pair of stud earrings for a couple of £100, whereas if you were to buy this carat and it be from the earth, You don't know how they've been sourced, which can be a problem with diamonds, the ethics behind them. But you know you're going to get something where the ethics are great, but also really good quality and clarity. And this jewellery box, I wanted to show you this because as a customer, for no particular reason, every so often you get sent free things. And when I say every so often, I mean it's quite often, actually. I've been sent this jewellery box, which has got their brand logo embossed into it, and it's beautiful on the inside. It's like suede lined on the inside, and I've just got some of my pieces here. But they've also sent me a much larger jewellery box in the past. I've had this, which is like a little hand-carved wooden dish where you can, with a lid on it, where you can keep your pieces. But also what's quite nice is you buy their studs, let's say, if you're going to go for earrings. You buy them the once, and then you buy everything else if you choose as a modular add-on. So if I show you these, if I like come in close and show you these earrings here, can you see there's a bar that comes off the earring? That bar has got little holes in it and the stud feeds through. So you would put the bar behind your earlobe, you put the stud through the front of your earlobe, and then it goes through here, and that little row of diamonds sits underneath your earlobe. And the same thing goes actually with the pear earrings you can see here. These are hollow in the center. There's like a hole in the middle where the stud feeds through them. And I even did something the other day where those ones I just showed you, where it's got the row of diamonds that sit underneath the earlobe, I wore the pear shape with the stud through the middle of the pear, and then I fed it through that earring on the back. And it looked really good, like just as like a different look. Right, the next item that I love, and it's new out, is from Christian Louboutin. And I think I've said this a while ago. So Christian Louboutin I felt was really majorly popular in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And then it kind of like, I feel like the brand went downhill a little bit, maybe when all of their shoes that had the huge platforms on them came out. But now I feel like they're picking back up again. And I feel like they are doing two things. First of all, they're coming out with shoes that are more wearable, more comfortable. So sneakers, loafers, lower heels. Lots of 85mm heels as well, which they're child's play when it comes to heels. They're very comfortable to walk in. But my favourite right now, and I'm so tempted, even though I've got nowhere to wear them really, is the Miss Z heels. So these, I heard these were inspired by Zendaya, and I love her. She is beautiful. I just love her, particularly when she did that Coachtopia campaign. But then I read into it, and apparently it's not. But this particular shoe has been designed for Gen Z. And apparently the reason is Gen Z are all about comfort. They don't want a painful shoe. So, for example, it's got the Forever Red sole on it that doesn't wear through. It's got a padded bit that goes under the ball of your foot. And I think they're a slightly lower heel. There's just quite a few elements that have been added to them to make them more comfortable than Shohet. And I just love this shoe. I mean, I probably will buy it. I like the mule version in particular. And I think it's just a nice shoe. And then the final thing, before we talk about some more hyped items, is the Hermes Constance bag. I love this bag. I think it's really classic. It's really classy. And I feel at the moment as though it's not as social media hyped as the Birkin and the Kelly. And again, it's not that there's a problem with when social media hypes something. It's just that I'm going to come onto it. But I think sometimes when you get used to seeing something everywhere, it's a bit like looking at your Christmas present before Christmas, and then you get it on Christmas Day and you're like, yeah, I already knew what it was. It's kind of like that, well, for me at least anyway. But I think the Constance still has it. It's still got that uniqueness. You don't see it everywhere, and I love that bag. Okay, let's talk about some hyped items. The first, and I can't not mention it, is the Idyl book tote. I feel as though when this came out at the end, when was that? End of 2018. Amazing. I still like it. I just, there's reasons why I've gone off it. I feel as though You know when you see those pictures on social media and someone's got it on top of their luggage in the airport or on a private jet somewhere, or, you know, that kind of thing. Sat in a business class seat on an aeroplane. I feel like it's been done to death a little bit. I feel like when it came out, it was like, oh, what's that? That feels quite fresh, quite new. And now I feel as though it's everywhere, but only in this size. I feel as though the smaller sizes still have that uniqueness about them. But it seems to be this size, which I see everywhere, and that has also been faked a lot. The smaller size is not so much. And so I feel that if I was going to buy this bag again, I wouldn't, because it's very heavy as well, and I find it quite annoying for that reason. Kind of the thing, I knew it was heavy when I bought it, but I didn't realise that it was going to be a pest until I bought it and then put my stuff in it. But yeah, I feel like this is quite a hyped bag now, and it's not one that I would buy again. The next hyped item, and this is not a new thing that I've told you about, this is something that I've been talking about for years actually, but I feel as though the Van Cleef Alhambra range has become, I feel like it's gone from hyped and really all over social media to, well, I was actually watching, I think it was Love is Blind or something. It's one of those types of shows the other day. And I remember they were like interviewing this woman, and she had on the, you know, the little clover shaped Alhambra. I'm sure there's a name for that. Someone will tell me. But she was wearing that. And David said to me, what's with these necklaces that everyone's wearing these days? Like the one that she's wearing. And I was like, oh, and I told him about it. And I do you know what? When a guy notices that it's everywhere, that's when you know it's everywhere. And I feel, the way I feel about it, I looked at buying into the Alhambra range back in 2016, and at the time they weren't all over social media, and in fact I only knew about this range because a friend of mine was into collecting it, and she had been for a few years. And I was like, what's this cute jewellery you wear? And she was like, oh, it's from Van Cleef. And I remember when I looked at it, it wasn't that expensive, and you didn't see it all over the place. And then I think social media has helped to make it more expensive because it's grown in popularity. Now, here's the thing. I was on Amazon the other day on my homepage, and it's showing me Alhambra necklaces for $10 each, £10 each. And they look exactly the same. And I just thought to myself, this is what I mean about hyped. It's gone from quite unique and maybe quite, yeah, just unique and a bit different and true luxury to, is that even real? Okay, the next thing is love bracelets. What I've just said about Van Cleef, I feel like the same goes with love bracelets. That's a question for you. Does it cheat? If you have bought that bracelet, if you have one or more of those bracelets, how do you feel about the abundance of fakes of that item that's going on now? Does it cheapen it for you, or actually does it not? Because you're like, well, I know I've got the real thing, so I don't care. Or if you've bought a fake, how does it make you feel? These are all just questions that I would be really interested to get an answer to. I love getting your feedback under videos, so please feel very free to like add a comment here. And then finally, I wasn't even going to mention this, but I put out a message on my other channel, like what videos you wanted. This was at the end of last year, and I had one of you say, can you talk about these aesthetic movements? Do you know what this is? So this is very social media driven. This whole aesthetic life. So an aesthetic could be Barbiecore. Do you remember that? Do you remember the whole Barbiecore thing where the film came out and everyone wore pink? Well, not everyone, but it was like a vibe on social media, particularly on Instagram. Zara came out with their Barbie collection, which I was obsessed with, and I bought quite a lot from that collection. I liked Barbiecore. Did I turn myself into Barbie? No, but I did. I can always get on board with wearing pink. But then, of course, you've got Soft Girl, or you've got the whole Stanley Cup thing. And you've got all of these different aesthetics, and what you're meant to do is you're meant to sort of like embody that aesthetic and buy into it and change your wardrobe and really live that aesthetic. And the thing is with these aesthetics is they change so rapidly that you get on board with one. Not that I'm not the type that would bother with it really, but I can see why you would. You'd get on board with one and then before you know it's out of fashion and the next aesthetic's turned up. But let me know what you think about aesthetics. Do you like them? Have they given you ideas for how you might style yourself, or have they really not? But guys, they are my items that I think are worth it and truly hyped. I would love to get your feedback on all of this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.